for the purchase of equipment and vehicles like police cars, fire trucks, et cetera. We have, I think, 5 communities participating as well as the county this year, so it continues to be a very successful program. We also received approval today from the LFB through the great work of a great team putting together a wonderful presentation for our financing for our first major parking project, which is the parking element of the new Cancer Institute in New Brunswick. We're very pleased that the state approved our financing initiative for that project.
Terrific. Okay. Any old business, Jim?
No, sir.
And new business, New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project?
Yeah, so at this time, I believe Bakari Lee needs to read a TEFRA notice regarding the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project.
Hi, Ann, how are you? And good afternoon, commissioners. The purpose of my participation on this evening's call is in connection with the TEFRA hearing for the $45 million multifamily housing revenue bonds of the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project series 2021. So if you would just bear with me, I will read through the notice that we have to read through for purposes of satisfying the Internal Revenue Code in connection with what we call qualified activity bonds. This public hearing on behalf of the Middlesex County Improvement Authority is hereby called to order. This meeting is open to the public and held pursuant to the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. My name is Bakari Lee of the law firm of McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, located in Roseland, New Jersey. I am attending the hearing on behalf of the authority relating to the proposed issuance by the authority of its not to exceed $45 million multifamily housing revenue bonds, New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project, series 2021. Of the financing are the refinance of existing outstanding $45 million Middlesex County Improvement Authority multifamily housing revenue notes, New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project, series 2017. Issued in connection with the construction of 207 units of residential rental apartments, including an affordable component. No work will be performed by virtue of the financing, which would otherwise be subject to the prevailing wage laws in the state of New Jersey. I hereby enter into the record a copy of the legal notice that was published in the Star Ledger on August 5th, 2021, providing notice to the public of this hearing and that are attached here too. And for that purpose, I will read the notice that was published. The Middlesex County Improvement Authority will hold a TEFRA hearing on August 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m. This notice is to discuss and take action with respect to a project involving qualified private activity bond financing. Anyone having an interest in these matters may attend the meeting to give their comments. Financing for this project is not an obligation of the state of New Jersey or the county of Middlesex. Funding for projects is secured privately through conventional lending sources. Members of the public may attend and participate in this meeting remotely and will be allowed to comment at the appropriate public comment portion of the meeting. The public may attend by calling in pursuant to the instructions provided by the authority on its website. The project includes but is not limited to the following: NBCCR Urban Renewal LLC with an address of 1301 North 31st Street, Philadelphia, New Jersey. The description of the project, as indicated previously, is the refinance of existing outstanding $45 million of Middlesex County Improvement Authority multifamily housing revenue notes, New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project, series 2017, issued in connection with the construction of 207 units of residential rental apartments, including an affordable component. Let's see. On behalf of the authority, I am now ready to hear any testimony and other comments from the public concerning the issuance by the authority of its bonds and the proceeds of which will be used to refinance the notes and pay certain of the costs of issuance in connection therewith. Are there any members of the public wishing to comment upon the proposed financing?
There's a hand raised. I'll allow that individual to speak.
Good evening, Mr. Lee, Commissioners. This is Charles Cradaville. I'm from New Brunswick. I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today. Wanted to begin by expressing my surprise that there is such a hearing tonight. I'm looking at the public notices section of your website. I see no such notice for this, and I also am looking at your agenda, and while there is an item under new business that says New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project, it doesn't mention anything about a public hearing or $45 million or any of the information that was just covered. So forgive me if I'm unprepared, but I was not expecting to have this hearing. Can anyone tell me what prompted this hearing? I understand, the project was completed and opened in 2019. Why is this hearing taking place now in 2021?
Yeah, so hi, this is Bakari Lee from McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, bond counsel to the Improvement Authority. I can explain that for you.
Sure.
The structure of the financing of the project was that in 2017, the authority authorized and issued project notes, construction financing in the form of project notes for the construction of the tower. That includes the 207 units. The construction notes were issued in a private placement to a bank at that time. The notes were 3-year notes or 4-year notes that would subsequently be taken out and refinanced on a permanent financing basis for a 30-year term with a separate private bank through the Fannie Mae financing program. So the notice, it was issued in accordance with the Internal Revenue Code, the IRS Code of 1986, specifically Section 147F, which deals with private activity bonds. So to the extent that a governmental entity issues private activity bonds, what is called this notice in public hearing has to occur prior to the issuance of the bonds. And so those bonds are scheduled to be issued sometime in the month of September, which requires this public hearing at the authority's meeting prior to the issuance. The advertisement was in the Star Ledger, as I indicated, and was published, I believe, if I recall correctly, it was published on August 5th.
Okay. And can you tell me the name of that statute? Was it TEFRA?
Yes, Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code.
Right, and the acronym TEFRA being?
Tax, I don't recall it off the top of my head. It's tax evidence financing something, but you'll find it in the code.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the Improvement Authority, using its financial position to assist this company based in Philadelphia.
It's a conduit financing. So what that means is that the Improvement Authority issues bonds. The Improvement Authority receives a note from the project owner entity, right? The owner entity, the legal entity that owns and operates the project. That entity issues a note to the Improvement Authority. The Improvement Authority, in exchange, issues its bonds to the private bank. So the bonds that are issued to the Improvement Authority, the debt service on the bonds that are issued by the Improvement Authority are paid by the note payments that are made by the project owner entity. So that is the security. So we call it conduit financing because essentially the loan repayments that the Improvement Authority needs passes through the improvement authority and goes to pay off the bank that is, that is providing the financing providing the refinancing funds.
And so I guess the ultimate question is, why? What is in it for the public, for you to allow for this conduit financing for this private company based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania?
Mr. Lee, this is Jim Nolan, the chairman. I'm going to step in here, okay?
Sure.
Charlie, obviously, the obvious answer to that is it's a New Brunswick project. It's New Brunswick housing and, housing in New Brunswick, and it's the Arts Center in New Brunswick. That's why we would get involved in it.
Okay. I mean, it always perplexes me how, large corporations that are doing well financially are the ones that get the, benefit of, government assistance. I believe this is Penrose Properties in Philadelphia. My understanding is this project or, this financing has nothing to do with the theater or the parking deck on this project. This is all about the housing, and the housing is 80% market rate. So while there is an affordable component, it's a very modest chunk of the 207 units. And it's my understanding they're renting out, these are essentially the most expensive apartments in New Brunswick that they're renting out, some for as much as $3,000 a month, according to my research. And I'm just perplexed why this is the corporation that needs a leg up, that needs assistance from the county government.
Okay, Charlie, I've answered that question, but it's to encourage development and housing in the city of New Brunswick. Very simple answer. And this isn't something new. This is an existing deal. It's a refinance of an existing notes.
Right. Okay, and so let me just understand that the plan all along was to have this be refinanced at this stage in the game, 3 or 4 years after the notes, right? This is not a change from the original plan. This is sticking to the plan.
That is correct.
Okay, and you mentioned that the bonds are going to be 30 years. So, what does that mean for the Improvement Authority's finance? Does that mean that
again, it really doesn't mean
the rent is going to pay it back,
finances.
or okay?
It's a conduit financing. So the revenues of the project pay the debt service on the bonds. So the Improvement Authority takes in a note from the project and gives its bond to the bank. It's a conduit. So there is no impact on the Improvement Authority or the county or the state financially.
Assuming, of course, that the revenues come in, right? If there's some problem or shortfall on the part of Penrose Properties and their predicted revenue doesn't come through, then the Improvement Authority could be affected, no?
Well, there is a mortgage. There's a mortgage on the site that secures the debt service. And there are other financial mechanisms that secure and protect the Improvement Authority. So there will be no impact. There is no financial exposure, no real financial exposure to the Improvement Authority for this project. It facilitates the residential, as the chair already indicated, and I don't want to restate what he said, but it provides funding for the residential project, which the crux of the matter is the affordable component within it.
Understood. Well, I'll just close with some comments. I do have concerns about the, not only Penrose Properties, but also New Brunswick Development Corporation, which is the other partner in the project. And, some of the predictions they've made or promises they've made have not come true. And sometimes government entities have been burned, like the Casino Redevelopment Authority that financed the Heldrick Hotel across the street from this project, another DevCo project, one that didn't work out exactly as planned. And, definitely would urge the board to proceed with caution. And, in the future, if you do have another TEFRA hearing, would ask that you properly mark it on your agenda as such so that people can understand that there is going to be a public hearing and exactly what it's regarding. That's all on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Mr. Lee. Ann, we're going to move on to.
Chairman, I apologize for the interruption. There is another hand raised.
Oh, okay. Yes, sure. Sorry.
That's no worries. I'll allow that individual to speak now.
All right, please identify yourself and where you're from.
Jersey Watcher YouTube channel, broadcasting worldwide. Am I recognized?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Well, basically, I'm calling through Middlesex County Improvement Authority because I saw New Brunswick Today's live stream. I got the phone number, and I just want to call through a message to the MCIA, message to Charlie Crowderville of New Brunswick Today. I'd like to let everyone know, I believe
Okay,
Trump
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. We're talking about the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center project financing. Do you have comments on that issue? We're not open to the public yet.
We're not public comments yet?
No, we're just talking about the Performing Arts Center.
Okay, I'll be back in public comments. The best.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, try again. Ann, resolutions?
Yes, Chairman, before you today are the following resolutions, so bear with me, we have some lengthy titles. Resolution 8A is a resolution of the Middlesex County Improvement Authority authorizing certain actions and approving certain documents necessary in connection with the issuance of the authority's proposed not to exceed $15,250,000 aggregate principal amount of county guaranteed capital equipment and improvement revenue bond series 2021. Next is item 8B, is a resolution of the Middlesex County Improvement Authority for the issuance of county guaranteed capital equipment and improvement revenue bonds. Item 8C is a resolution for the MCIA approving the participation in program and agreement with Middlesex County Vocational and Technical Schools for students and physician assistant training programs at Roosevelt Care Centers at Old Bridge and Edison. Item 8D is a resolution of the MCIA authorizing agreements with the County of Middlesex for yard waste recycling services. Item 8E is a resolution authorizing the issuance of county guaranteed parking revenue bonds for MCIA and determining other matters related thereto. Item 8F is a resolution of the MCIA authorizing a contract for retirement plan services for employees of the MCIA with Bay Ridge Financial Group. And then finally is item 8G, the resolution of MCIA for payment of expenses.
Very good. Okay. So we're going to move on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of July 14, 2021?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Unopposed, that will pass. All right, we're going to have public comments on the resolutions, those resolutions that were just read. Any public comments on those resolutions that were just read?
There's a couple individuals, Chairman. I'll start with the first.
Okay. Hello, would you identify yourself and where you're from, please?
Yep, Charlie Crowderville once again. Asking
Good
about
evening,
8E.
Charlie.
Good evening once again.
Yes.
8E is authorizing the issuance of guaranteed parking revenue bonds. Can you tell me, is this $60 million or is it a different amount?
And I'm not familiar with that. Do we have somebody prepared to answer that?
Kari, do you feel comfortable addressing that comment?
I am not familiar with that project.
Sure, so I received it from our bond counsel. I can provide some more information to Mr. Crowderville at a later time. I still want to overstep my scope. I'd rather have bond counsel address the bond resolutions.
Okay. Charlie, any other questions?
Respectfully would ask you to hold the resolution if we're not sure how many millions of dollars it's, in bonds we're talking about. Expressed some concerns in the past. Yeah.
Which resolution do you have a question about? Is it item 8C?
E?
B?
80, right?
E is in Edward. E is in Edward.
Oh, yes, so yes, that is 60 million. That is the 60 million.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Sorry about that.
what is this? Yes, no problem. What is the $60 million for? Is this all for the Cancer Institute parking garage, or is this for a mix of different parking projects?
Chairman, would you like me to respond?
Sure.
It's for the parking project related to the Cancer Institute.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
And that was what was
yeah, I mean,
and as I announced earlier today, that's the financing that was approved earlier today by the local finance board.
Okay.
Right. And still pending approval from the county commissioners. I believe they have it scheduled at their 7 p.m. meeting on August 19th. And I encourage people to bring their questions and concerns to that public hearing, because it seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to me like the whole reason that the Improvement Authority is creating a parking division and borrowing this $60 million is to essentially assist DevCo and the hospital in their development project, the one that we discussed at such great lengths last summer. And, again, this board was told by Mr. Palladino that the Parking Authority of New Brunswick would be investing $65 million to support the parking component of the development. And then they pulled a bait and switch. The Parking Authority actually had not committed to do that. The facts had been misrepresented at your meeting to you. And now, a year later, the plan is that the county and the Improvement Authority is going to step up and borrow $60 million to help DevCo with their, private development project. And I'm just, doesn't smell right to me, doesn't feel right. I have, raised concerns about the Parking Authority and what a financial boondoggle they've gotten into, building all these decks and borrowing to do it. And sometimes delivering on what is promised, a great example being that failed supermarket that DevCo was not able to make work in downtown New Brunswick. And of course, they were, Parking Authority was counting on some of that revenue to pay off their bonds, and now they're in about $231 million of debt. And, gosh, I would hate to see the same thing happen to the county if you make the same exact mistakes that the Parking Authority made. Now that they're falling on hard times with the pandemic, it seems like DevCo is not ready to step up and actually build their own parking deck. So they're coming to you now to pull the same trick that they've pulled on New Brunswick for so many years, getting the government to build their parking deck for them and take all the risk, all the responsibility. And, I got to caution, if you're borrowing $60 million, that's a lot of parking fees. That's going to take a lot of people parking to actually pay for itself. And, transportation is a changing field. Less and less people are commuting to work and parking in downtown New Brunswick and other places all across the country. And I think it's a financial mistake for this body to move ahead with $60 million of borrowing just to build one parking deck to help one private developer with one project that you've already done a lot for. You've already gone out of your way to assist this developer and give them special treatment that others don't get. If I said I want to take over a public school and, give me the land so I can build on it, people would say I was crazy. But that's what DevCo did to the people of New Brunswick, said we want to take away the school that the children in the 5th Ward of New Brunswick attend, and we want to build on that, and we want corporate welfare to do it. So I'm really, this is just another giveaway to DevCo. They've already gotten so much out of you. I don't think it's right for you to also step up and build their parking for them. DevCo and Robert Wood are both very much in the money. I believe the president of